skin is primarily due to the amount of melanin. And melanin is a pigment that is produced by cells called melanocytes. So anytime you see that site ending, that means a cell, and these are cells that produce melanin. Now, the color of our skin, whether we're really light or whether we have dark skin, primarily has to do with genetics, but we also have the ability to acclimate to our environment by tanning. So when we talk about UV radiation exposure, this increases or tends to increase the amount of melanin. And this melanin actually shields our genetic material from the UV radiation and prevents mutations from occurring. If mutations occur in our skin cells, they could potentially become cancerous. And the most dangerous type of cancer is what is referred to as melanoma. And those are primarily spots on your skin that are darkly pigmented. So it's really important to check your skin to make sure that you don't have new moles or your moles aren't growing, and to realize that melanoma can actually occur inside of your mouth, at the bottoms of your feet, and also in your eyes. So there are different places where that particular type of cancer can occur. When we look at people that are albino, they have a lack of melanin. And so this is a genetic mutation that prevents the production of melanin. And they also lack pigment in their hair because it is the melanin that gives us our hair color, as well as pigment in the iris of the eye. So melanin is also found in your iris and will determine whether or not you have blue eyes, green eyes, or brown eyes, or a variety of different shades of those colors. Now, when we look at the skin, we also see that our skin can sometimes turn pink or red. And that has to do with the production of hemoglobin. So hemoglobin, this causes a reddening of the skin. Like, for example, when we blush or when we sweat. And so what this is blood going to the surface of your skin. Blushing is actually a more of a emotional response, but to sweat would be turning red because you are attempting to dissipate heat via evaporative cooling. So the blood goes to the surface of your skin so you can cool off. Now, people that tend to have low oxygen levels can also become cyanotic. And cyanotic means that they have a blue tint to the skin. Now, blood is actually never blue, but the deoxygenated or the unoxygenated blood appears blue through our skin. So if people are low oxygen levels, like you've seen that your oxygen levels have dropped, you might become cyanotic. And one of the places where this is also observable, rather than just in the surface of the skin, it can be in the mucous membranes. So for example, you could look at the tongue, you could look at the gums in your mouth, the teeth area, the tissues underneath the teeth, to determine whether or not those are pink or whether they are blue. And that gives you an idea of the oxygenated quality of your blood. Now, there is another pigment in our skin that is keratin. It's due to keratin, and it is yellow. Yellowish orange. And it is due to beta carotene. And this is something that we get in our diet. So for example, orange fruits and vegetables have beta carotene in them. And this is an antioxidant. And so this is actually the reason why our fat tissue is yellow rather than being white. So if you were to cut yourself open, or if you were to undergo surgery and they opened you up, the visceral fat in your body would be yellow because of the presence of beta carotene. So beta carotene can also tend to accumulate in the skin and in your nails. So let's say you decide you're going to eat a lot of carrots and a lot of oranges. The excess can actually start to accumulate in the skin and make your skin look orange or yellow. When I was a kid, I loved eating the orange peel as well as the orange, and I actually got orange fingernails in the process. So that can change the color of your skin. Now, the other reason why your skin changes color is a little bit more dangerous in terms of it turning yellow, and that has to do with being jaundiced. So jaundice is due to the pigment bilirubin. And this is a byproduct of hemoglobin breakdown. So if you get a bruise, for example, you'll note that you have done damage to the tissue and blood has seeped out into the tissues, and then your immune system and your white blood cells start to break down that hemoglobin that is in the tissue, and it will start to change color. And so as they break down hemoglobin, which is red, it turns into like blue and purple and yellow. That's kind of the final stage, or maybe even there's a green stage, which is called biliverdin. But the yellow stage can sometimes build up in our tissues and give us a signal that specifically our liver is not working well. So people who undergo or are in liver failure, for example, will appear to be jaundice. And you can again see this in the eyes, and you can see it in the mouth and the other mucous membranes in your body. When we talk about this, the jaundice, oftentimes it occurs in babies. And so when we look at newborns, they have to replace their fetal hemoglobin with adult hemoglobin. So they are breaking down hemoglobin rapidly. And part of that byproduct needs to go to the liver. So like, for example, the liver stores the iron. So the liver helps in this breakdown. And it might break it down so quickly that the liver becomes overwhelmed. And so they become yellow. And this is very common. And they become jaundiced. And one way that you can fix this, or you can help break down the bilirubin in the tissues, specifically in the skin, is by exposing them to light. So exposure to sunlight helps to break down bilirubin. So if the weather is amenable, you could take your baby out and you could take their clothes off and lay them out in the sun for a while, and that would help to break down the bilirubin. If it is foul weather and like it's in the middle of the winter, you would use Billy lights. So they actually have Billy lights that you can actually check out generally from the hospital. So they put them under UV lamps, Billy lights, and these actually help to break down the bilirubin and prevent any possible consequences of having this build up in your body. But for people who are in liver failure, that tends to, it's not a solution, because the liver does so much for us. So liver failure, where the liver has become damaged and has turned into connective tissue, is generally a life-ending disease unless you, for example, get a liver transplant.